Hello and welcome to Walk With Me, the podcast. I am your host, Bédard, and today I'll invite you to embark on the journey that is as simple as it is profound, the act of walking together. Now, the name Walk With Me is intentional, me is my initials, Marie, but it also stands for me as in each one of us. So this podcast is a place where I want us to explore life, death, everything in between and beyond. Over the years, I've witnessed that growth and evolution can be daunting for a lot of people, but when we get out of our heads and walk the path together, something truly magical happens. We collapse time, we tap into our inner wisdom, and unlock amazing potentialities. So this journey is not just about walking. It's more than just putting one foot in front of the other. It's about exploration. It's about the deep connections we form with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us as we move through life. So together, we'll dive into the discoveries of science, the teachings of the heart, and the revelations of the soul. From the frequency of the Black Forest and Journey where I live, I'll be added some sacred feminine wisdom and collective consciousness. We'll explore how everything shapes our lives and our path. So lace up your shoes and let's walk together on this path of growth and evolution. Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Walk With Me. I am your host, I'm Bédard, and I'm so happy to come this week with something that wasn't planned in the episodes, but something happened in the past few weeks in my personal life business that impacts business as well. And I wanted to come and talk about how many years ago the mindset change that really made a difference in how I approach and how I build my life and how I build my business and how I also move into this world. So you've probably heard of the saying, alone we go fast, but together we go further. Have you ever heard this? Alone we go fast, but together we go further. Now, this saying is basically, underlying or highlighting the fact that, yes, when we're working alone, we can go very fast into, the destination that we set for ourselves, the goals that we set, the objectives that we set. But when we are together, when we're supporting each other, we get to go further. So it speaks to more like whether we're doing a sprint or whether we're doing a marathon, right? And for years, I thought that it was, very nice because it's true, like if it's something that is short term, a short goal, I can muster enough personal power to actually go and get there faster. However, if it's a goal that is more difficult, that I don't have enough personal power yet to reach, or that is a little bit more outside of my comfort zone, or that is, further away than I would normally be able to do alone and fast, then having support and leveraging the people around us to support, that's why, there's accountability that is involved, there's really like those elements of focus that helps us support us to reach that goal so we can get that little more to go further, so we can stretch a little bit more. Now, in life, there are instances, there are goals, objectives that we can do both, right? So the advantage of being together, supporting each other, means that we can actually go further, even if we're not going as fast, because we're all moving together, right? Like think about, those potato sack race. You can hop alone, or you can actually like be two to hop when you're tied together. Like, of course, when we're dealing with a lot of different people, it takes a longer time to get there. But when we are leaning on each other, when we have moments where we actually like feel like giving up, where we feel like it's not going to be possible, where we feel like we're tired, the other people can lift us up. The other people can actually like really provide us with more lightness, with reminding us of what we're capable of. The other thing is that we don't necessarily have all the perspectives towards what we're building, towards what the issues that might rise on the way. And we all have different experiences, different knowledge, different integrated superpowers that when we're putting them together, we can provide different perspectives to really shine the light on different sides of whatever the issue is and find a solution that is, if it's a group project, that is the best for the group, or if it's for us, for example, if it's our own objectives, goals, we can find more clarity within that. However, this is not true necessarily if your support group is not a healthy one. If you are not having people around you that understand your vision, that understand what you're going, that understand your uniqueness in going somewhere, then they can be more of an hindrance than not, okay? And this is where I think that the difference is, we can go fast, but we can go fast into the wall, right? Like when we're alone. We can just as well go further and still hit the wall if we don't have people around us that understand that are not projecting their things, that are really listening and finding solution and helping you move through whatever you're moving, the way that you're moving in alignment. Okay. Now, when I understood that I could build my personal power, obviously, but that I could do that in spite of the circumstances that I'm in, so circumstantial power, which can be overpowering and an hindrance on what you are trying to do here with your personal power, or I could actually seek and change the circumstances so I can leverage supportive circumstantial power. A lot of people right now are talking about strengthening your personal power. The problem with that is that often we're strengthening our personal power against a lot of the circumstantial power. Now, for sure, we need some resistance to build some strength. That is for sure. However, on the long run, it can be very, very, very tiring, and you could really get to the point where your personal power is high, but there's only so much exertion that you can push towards a resistance. So you have to start to think about changing the circumstances bit by bit as you build your personal power, so the two are really bring you where you're going. So your personal power, your drive, your inner drive, your focus, your I'm going there no matter what, and having a support group, circumstantial power that is supporting that, you will get even further just because you're not wasting your energy on things that are not aligned. You're not wasting your energy on having too much resistance when you can, eliminate it. Like what lives in your energy feels like it's causing leaks, and clean up that, whether the leaks are coming from yourself, building your personal power, or whether the leaks are coming from people around you, their agenda, what they think that you should do, what they're projecting on you, what their fears are, what their experience are, right? When I understood that, I actually understood as well how much the environment that we live in, this comes from the fact that I was trained as a biologist that modelize habitats and how the environment influences our well-being, how the environment influences everything and supports everything that we do. That's why when I was doing actively naturopathy, we were talking about the 5 different areas of our life that we need to work on, but all of that pentagon graph, if you've seen it, was resting on a big block, which was the environment. So what happens is, as we are doing what we need to do personally for our personal power, our own objectives and everything, we're also modifying our environment and changing the environment to support us. You've probably heard another saying that is, you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang with. Now, take a few moments here and think about the 5 people in your life that you are spending the most time with. Are those 5 people supportive of your progression, of your journey, of your growth, of your evolution, or not? Are you constantly holding your standard and power and personal power against that? How much of your energy is wasted on that part? And how can you change it? This is paramount work that I'm doing with my clients. And it's not about leaving people behind. It's mostly about setting your boundaries, having hard conversations, being a model for people that actually cannot see a little bit further than their nose, right? Because they're stuck in their reality most of the time. But the reality is actually unrealistic because of the nervous system that is always in survival mode, that is always like based on the worst case scenarios, which is skewed and not realistic. Whatever they say, if they say, well, I'm being a realist, if the realism is skewed towards worst case scenario, it's not realistic. So how much time are you wasting on that? Where are your leaks and how can you really change that? And this is some fundamental work that I do with my client. How do we shift that? How do we strengthen our own personal power and continue our growth and evolution while we're evolving in an environment that is at the beginning not necessarily supportive of what we're doing, but also like managing that, juggling that, right? And the interesting part is that the one of that resistance, right? When we don't necessarily want to change the environment and we're constantly resisting and we're actually saying like, well, I'm strong enough, I can actually do this. What happens is all that energy that you're wasting on that is not contributing to your growth. And instead, when we're starting to have the hard conversation, to set the boundaries, to really move in the direction, we're still using our energy to deal with the circumstantial situation, but we're also doubling up because we're building our personal power. So I'm going to offer you this today. Instead of thinking alone we go fast, together we go further, which is not always the case, I'm going to say strong ones do it alone, smart ones do it together. Now, I started several years ago to think about that. Who are the 5 people that are around me? Are they supporting or whatever? And that could be any aspect of your life. CEOs of companies, they know how important this is. They know how much who is on your business council, who is contributing to making this project, which is your business, being the best at it, and you actually have the best people on there to support you. Well, your life is the same thing. Your life is a project, just like a business is a project, just like if you want your life to be a certain way, to move in a certain direction, to have more, joy, to have more happiness, to have more pleasure, to have more experiences, to be in more alignment, to really, do what you're meant to be doing in this human experience, then you're going to have to look at that. When I start to do that, I start to see, okay, which are the 5 people that are around me and how can I shift things so the end product is I am with 5 people that are really supporting me and making me level up and making me calibrating to higher and supporting in the vision, and that I don't have to waste my energy resisting. Again, this is not about leaving people behind. This is about carving our time and resources towards more of what we want and less of what doesn't support us. Now, the interesting part is that your personal power is actually going to straighten doing that as you improve your circumstantial power, as you improve on the environment and the circumstances that you have in your life. It's going to move as well. So it's actually like a 2 sides that you're going to evolve with. But what happens is once you have more of that, then it actually also gains traction in that direction, which is going to not only support you going further, but you are going to go faster. So it's like you're running a marathon, right? But you're also improving your distance per minute. And what is incredible is actually, and I see this often, that is something that my clients are like, I didn't even expect this. I did not even expect this, is when we're doing that, then we're modeling what's possible for the people that we're setting boundaries for. So this is amazing. Now, why am I talking about this today? It's because about a month ago, something happened that really triggered me. And and it was business related, but it also came to touch specifically how, all the hard decisions that I had to make, after leaving Canada were happening. This episode is going to air days before when we left Canada 3 years ago. And when we left Canada, we arrived in Germany. There was a whole bunch of stuff that happened to us that were not supportive of where we're going. I'm just going to say it like that. And throughout especially the first year, but throughout the last 3 years, I've had to make really hard decisions for myself, personally, for my business, always keeping my eyesight on where I was going with the vision that I had before we left. But when we arrived in Germany, the smart thing that I did was I knew from experience how paramount having those 5 people was. And I decided, okay, this is where I'm going to go. Who do I need to be on my console, whether it's the console of my life, of my business? And I actually even did that before we left Canada, basically, because for any types of big change, you need to have what I'm going to call a change console. Who is the 5 people that are actually around you that are supporting that big change for you to see through it, for you to support it, for you to catch you and remind you when you need it, for having feedback that is supportive of where you're going with their expertise. Now, it could be friends and family, right? But hiring experts is also something that you can do. That you can really have the peace of mind that you're having people on your own console to support where you're going. So I did that. And I have found, and you don't do that when you're in the crux. Obviously, when you're in the crux, when you're having something that happens that you need to pivot and you need to search for somebody on the spot, that's a different thing. But when you're planning big changes, right, you need to start thinking ahead. When we arrived in Germany, I had a console of that I brought in to support me in what I was doing. Because if I'm going somewhere big, everybody wants to have an impact. Everybody wants to have something big. They want to contribute. They want to be of service. They want to be of that. But if you want big impact, you have to have a big vision. And if you have a big vision, you need to step into a CEO identity, not just a business CEO identity. This is my life, this is my project CEO, I'm a boss in my own life identity. So that's what I did. And a month ago, when something happened, I actually turned around. I used my own personal power to really ground myself, to really come back to within, to really connect with all the identities that I'm putting forward in going where I'm going, for the vision that I have for my life and this business that I'm building. And for the gaps that I had, for the leaks that I have, I turn around to my console. I turn around to the people around me that are supportive and that actually know what the vision is. And a month ago, in the last few weeks, and especially last week when I actually had I had a meeting, I was so happy that I had the sight, that I had the foreplanning of doing this, because it makes everything so much more easier because we're together in this vision. We're all bringing ourselves together in this vision. So when you are planning something, having coaches, having mentors, we've been doing this forever. Somewhere along the line, we actually thought that we could do this alone in this individualistic society. We actually lost the way. We lost the way. And now there's a big need for us to really connect in another level, but also have people with their expertise that we can hire. Can you imagine the power of this? Can you imagine the power of you hiring somebody to actually help you, to support you in the direction that you're going, to eliminate resistance in your life, to really see your blind spots, to change your perspective, to let go of the identities that you have outgrown, to shed them, to shift, to grow, to evolve? The impact that it has in your life is undescribable. And this is why if you're actually like right now, if you're saying, oh my God, I wish I knew this. I wish I had understood this. I wish I would have somebody that would have shined a light on this. Now I'm in a situation where I feel overwhelmed. Where do I start? Right now, there's 3 ways to work with me. 1, I have 1 spot left that starts November 1st for the 3 months private one-on-one coaching. It's going to be the last spot in this form of container that I'm putting forward. So maybe the spot is going to be gone before this airs, but just reach out and we'll see. So 3 months with me where you have access to me pretty much every day. I am in your back pocket to exchange. 3 months where we can really skyrocket, where we can really see where the gaps are, where your leaks are, where your blind spots are, what is the direction that you want to go. Where are you at right now, truly, right? Because when we're setting a GPS to go somewhere, we don't just need the destination. We also need a point of origin, and then map that together and then walk that for 3 months. Imagine in 3 months where you could be towards your goal. So that's one way to work with me right now, because in 2025, that container evolves. There's also the private 5-day package mentorship, which is like 5 days. So basically the 5 days is pretty cool because if you're pretty advanced in your growth and evolution, personal growth, like you might have like things that are like 1 day and 1 subject, 1 situation, and we go deep and we actually like clean up everything that has to do with that, right? And then you can have that like, you can stack it 5 days in a row. You can have like, 2 days a week. You can have 1 day a week. That is really cool because it's touch points on the time, and you have spaciousness in between the days. The other thing is this free experience that I'm putting together that is going to be taking place from November 15 to November 21. And it's called 7 Days of Serenity. And 7 Days of Serenity is going to be 7 days with me in a group where I'm going to drop every day a exercise, activation, meditation, visualization, change of perspective to help you build this place inside of inner calm, of peace, quiet inner calm. This is paramount to building everything else. This is paramount to building equanimity. This is paramount to building emotional intelligence. Like it's the equivalent of the core when you go at the gym. When you work on your core, well, that's actually the core. So 7 days with me, and there's actually like a possibility of upgrading for 77 euros, where you're going to be in a parallel group from the Serenity group, and you're going to get group coaching. You're going to come in, ask 1 question a day, and then we go deep in that question in relation to building your serenity. Because when you have that, you have a place that is solid within yourself to always come back to. Calm your nervous system down, gain some clarity, which is also the place that you actually go back into the life. So it's basically your springboard as well, right? So it's really within a place that you come back to, center at your core. And then once you gain clarity, once you actually know that your nervous system is calmed down, you use that serenity to build on other personal power skills, but also to springboard yourself in the world and towards the vision that you have. So those are the 3 ways to work with me right now. I'm really looking forward to 7 Days of Serenity. That is really like, it's a foundation that we're going to continue to build on. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast, I'm going to encourage you to do that. If you have never left a comment, let me know how this lands. Also, you can find the link to 7 Days of Serenity in the show link. And you can also join the podcast campaign on Telegram, which is called Walk With Me, where I share a lot of the behind the scenes of, podcasting, but also like building a business in a foreign country, in a, another language, with everything that has to do with like, how does that in real time unfold this concept of personal power and circumstantial power. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you where I see you. Thank you for being part of today's episode and walking with me. As the seasons of life shift, we hold the power to navigate our path with courage, intuition, and wisdom, and embrace change with an open heart, for within it lies the potential for remarkable growth and evolution. If this conversation resonated with you, please subscribe on your favorite platform, leave a heartfelt review, and share it on social media. If you know someone who would benefit from this episode, I'd be honored if you shared it with them. You can stay connected with me on social media, where I continue to share insights and inspiration. And for a deeper connection, you can join my Telegram community for exclusive content and real-time conversation. You'll find the link in the show notes. Until our next encounter, keep exploring, embracing change, and finding joy in every moment. And remember, you can always come back here and walk with me.